Hi everyone, it's Liam here from Rating the Races. So first of all, we all at Rating the Races want to wish everybody a very Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year. We'll probably do another video or two before the New Year, but we want to get that in there just in case I forget to say it in the next videos. But yeah, I hope everybody has an amazing Christmas or is having an amazing Christmas. So I've been through tomorrow's racing. There was a lot, wasn't there? There is tomorrow's racing, Boxing Day's rating. There is, what's that, 15, 21, 28, 34, 43 to Leopardstown, 43, 57, 64, 71, 78 races, I think. And we've gone through them all, had a look, and I think I've got some nice selections for Boxing Day. Let's start off looking for the meeting I'm looking for. It's at Kempton. We're going to look at the 12:45. Now, this is an interesting one. I think you can actually see the ratings for this race. Our top-rated horse is definitely overpriced. First Street. First Street is interesting because he just has something to prove over fences. But they've gone back to fences after giving him a wind surgery. Now, his hurdles form is very good, or, you know, it's quite good. Last time out, finished 4th in a listed hurdle behind Rabau, Kievar, Authorised Dart. He finished 4th, staying on, looked like needed 2.5 mile now. Some of his previous efforts, 3rd in a Christmas hurdle in 2023. So this time last year, or on Boxing Day last year, he was actually finishing 3rd behind Constitution Hill and Rabau in a Christmas hurdle when officially rated 141. Over fences, this horse is going to be running off 130 because his chase form hasn't been as good. Even at Cheltenham in a Unibet hurdle, grade 2, 10 lengths behind Lossiemouth and Love Envoy, in front of Rabau, in front of Guard Your Dreams. If they were running in this, they would be favourite. Or, yeah, I'm pretty confident they would be favourite. Any of those 5, if they were running in this chase, would be favourite. Now, First Street just hasn't looked very good over fences yet. Started off at Warwick over fences, finished 4th, outpaced, ran on a bit. That was over 2.5. They stepped him up to 3 mile, and he finished woefully. He was miles behind. He lost a shoe, but that wouldn't have been the reason why he ran so poorly. And I kind of feel that he's had the comeback run now this season where he ran okay, and I think they can, off this mark, this is his chance to win a handicap chase, in my opinion. Off a ridiculously low mark for him, 130. At Kempton, where he's ran well many a times, 3rd behind Constitution Hill, as I said, 4th behind Rabau, that wasn't bad. He's also won a handicap off 132. So won a handicap over hurdles off 132, beating Mengley Khan that day by 7 and a bit lengths. That's the sort of level that we're going to be taking on here. That sort of quality, officially £2 lower, a big price. This is his chance. If he's going to win a race over fences, if that wind surgery, the time off, maybe it was coming to the end of a long season where he just ran disappointingly over fences. Yeah, maybe this could be the time to catch him. And yeah, I'm hopeful of a big run, to be honest. I think he is definitely overpriced. Let's just have a look what they are currently going in the 12:45. Whoops. He is currently 11-1. I mean, I don't even think he's gone off that big in... Let's just have a look. I'm looking on my other screen. He went off 12s last year for a Unibet hurdle. 13-8 favourite for a handicap listed race in October 2023. 7-1 for a listed race over hurdles this year. So he's a bigger price in an easier race, just over fences. It's all about whether he jumps those fences. If he jumps those fences and he's in touch and actually runs to his ability, he'll win it. He actually genuinely would. He would win this race if he runs to his hurdles ability. And I think, as we can see, that his hurdles run was actually a good hurdles run last time out. Probably one of his best in a long time, that 147.1. based on what he's now got to carry today, or on Boxing Day, yeah, this is his time to catch him. And if he gets beat here, I think they'll give up over fences. If he gets woefully beat, if he finishes second and they bump into something like Fireflyer or Leader in the Park, they might go, we just bumped into a nicely handicapped horse. Maybe he's not as good over fences, but he's still good. But I'd be disappointed for Connections if he doesn't run a big race here. And if he does run a big race, I think he wins it. Moving on to the 120 at Kempton. This is one of the graded races on the day. It's the Kauto Star Novices Chase. And I think we have a very smart horse running here. They're all going to be good animals. I kind of feel there's a couple of handicappers stroke horses that have got away with who they've been beating, including the likes of Highland, who beat Resplendent Grey, Springwell Bay and Buddy One. Now, Buddy One disappointed for sure, but the other two I don't think are top class graded horses. Springwell Bay, for example, who was third, has since come out and finished second to Django Bay. That's got to be winning that if it wanted to be a graded race. And Resplendent Grey finished second to Handstands, second to Highland. I don't think this is top class quality form. However, I do think the Jukebox Man is top class quality grade 1 form. Second at Cheltenham in an Albert Bartlett behind Stella Story, only beaten the head. Then went to Aintree for another grade 1, finished 5 and a bit lengths behind Dancing City. That's very good form. That's proper grade 1 form. And then came out at Newbery on his first start over fences and beat Massacio and beat Johnny Who. Now, Massacio is a nice chaser. I think he's a future handicapper. They'll find a decent handicap with him. He'd had a run over fences already. He'd won a handicap chase beating Twin Jets. And he was comfortably beaten by the Jukebox Man. I thought that was a very, very good effort from the Jukebox Man. With that fitness now on side, I don't see any reason why Massacio can reverse the form. I think he's the better horse out of him and the Jukebox, out of him and Highland. And yeah, I think he's going to win this, isn't he? He's not the biggest of prices, but he's one that I'm kind of like, I would have him odds on. You can get even money about him. I think he's better than an even money shot. I think he should be odds on. I think I would put him nearer 4 to 6 sort of price, really, in the fact that I think he's a proper grade 1 horse. So that's the Jukebox Man in the second race at Kempton. We're then actually going to skip all of the next few races, including Lossiemouth versus Constitution Hill. We'll come back to that, and also the King George. We'll come back to that. But I want to talk about my next selection for these videos, which is going to be our top-rated horse here, East India Express. Now, I'm a big fan of Doddy the Great. And interestingly, I think it's really interesting that Nicky is running 3 in here. He's got the first 3 in our ratings. And I think they're all running for different reasons. In the air, I feel he's on a bit of a recovery mission after looking like a very progressive hurdler a couple of starts ago. Then found his level probably the last couple of runs, beat him into 6th by Why Not, and then last him out in a handicap hurdle at Taunton, beaten by King of the Road. Now, that was only a class 4, a 0 to 120, sorry. Wasn't good enough to win that. Kind of feel that that's where his level is. He doesn't have a lot more progression in him that's in the air. Doddy the Great is very well handicapped off 129. We've got to remember he's finished 4th in a Betfair Hurdle off 132, which is great, and he's finished 2nd in a Catesby Hurdle at Cheltenham off 131. So running off 129, you would say he is well handicapped, and he is. But not over this trip. The only time he's actually performed well over this trip was, granted, at Kempton, was when he was winning a novice hurdle at 1 to 3 when he had nothing in against him. Pontresina finished 2nd. Pontresina is currently rated 105. Had nothing in against him whatsoever. It wouldn't have mattered the trip there. He would have beaten them. They didn't need to do anything. They could have gone really gentle and still won that. Could have gone up to 3 Mile and won that. Wasn't the distance, that wasn't the reason Doddy the Great was so impressive. It was just that he was beating nothing. They then dropped him back to 2 miles, and he ran he ran multiple good runs, winning at Ascot in an introductory hurdle. Then went to, as I said, the Catesby Estates handicap hurdle at Cheltenham. Got beat by Go Dante. That form has obviously worked out well. Then went to Newbery for the Betfair Hurdle. Finished really well. He was a great effort for 4th. Staying on strongly, granted, but in a very, very good race. Iberica Lord, Lo de Sud, Go Dante in front of him, Favois, Knickerbocker Glory, Our Champ, Casa de Mott behind. You know, plenty of what you would expect in the Betfair Hurdle. A really good field. Then went up in trip for the Coral Cup. Finished 12th, beaten 18 lengths. Then got beat at Ayr in a handicap there, beaten 23 lengths. And recently got beaten a handicap chase over 2.5, beaten 21 lengths. I don't think, when he has decent rivals in against him, I don't think the horse actually wants 2.5. He wants 2. And I just wonder whether this is the plan for Doddy the Great here. If Doddy the Great gets beat and drops another couple of pounds, say down to 127, he could turn up to Newbery for the Betfair Hurdle in February off a £5 lower mark than when a really good 4th last year. That looks clear for me. That's got to be the plan. And you can win the race at the same time with East India Express, who is our selection. East India Express last time out beat the very progressive and in form Double Powerful. Double Powerful was trying to make it a 7-timer. And that was the first time he'd got beat, as I said, in 7 runs. Only got beat ahead, but East India Express was good enough to win that. They were in front of Irish Hill, who had previously had some good runs himself, including winning at Plumpton and finishing 2nd at Wincanton. So the form was pretty good. East India Express was winning that of 1, 2, 3, and Freddie was able to claim 3 because it was a conditional jockeys race. Because it was a conditional jockeys race, there's no penalty. Runs off 1, 2, 3 again, and Freddie can take 5 off. So effectively, if the horse is running off a lower mark than when winning, beating a very informed Double Powerful, a decently informed Irish Hill, it was a good race. I don't see any reason why East India Express is not going to take all of the beating here. And as long as we don't get beat by Doddy the Great, that will be the annoying one. I am really confident for East India Express, to be honest. If Nicky Henderson is actually thinking about that Betfair Hurdle, and he's thinking about it properly, Doddy the Great is surely being saved for that. And I'm going for East India Express. Why is Nicky running 3? Why is he sticking Freddie on again? He could have, if he was confident with Doddy the Great, because he is so well handicapped, he didn't need to run them all. I think he's running East India Express because he thinks that'll win. Doddy the Great will drop a few pounds, and in the air will run a nice race, maybe for 3rd or 4th. So in East India Express is my selection here at 11 to 4. And yeah, I think it's probably going to be my nap, even with the question marks about whether Doddy the Great is trying here or not. We move on to Weatherby now. I've got 3 at Weatherby I like, starting in the 135, and my selection here is Some Scope, who is currently available at, let's have a look, 135. 7 to 2. A little bit shorter than what I liked. But I think he's going to win this race. He's only 6. Last season, he went off favourite 3 consecutive times at Doncaster and at Cheltenham. He won one of them. He got beat in the Grimthorpe by the Doncaster specialist, Does He Know? And then ran okay at Cheltenham. Made his comeback at Cheltenham this year in a good race behind Senior Chief, The Short Go, Broadway Bob, Does He Know, Lamilos. Disappointed, pulled up out the back. Didn't jump great. Only went off 13 to 2 for that. That was a decent race, and he only went off 13 to 2. Then last time out at Newcastle, he surprisingly for me went off 12 to 1. I thought something strange there. That's a big price for that horse in the rehearsal chase. Watched the race, never put in it, never involved. That was not their target. I'm hoping this was their target, the Roland Merrick. He dropped from 125 to 124. And Callum Pritchard takes 7 off. That is huge for me. Callum actually rides this track really well as well. If we have a look here, where is he? Here he is. He's 1 from 1. Really well is a bit of exaggeration. He's only had the one ride. He did win on it though. And yeah, I think he's a really nice. He's still progressing. Callum Pritchard's still progressing. He takes a very useful 7 off. They've had enough time in between Newcastle. It's the second time after the wind up, which some people kind of prefer. They're not as keen on the first time after the wind up, but they really target those horses that are second time after the wind up. He's got no weight to carry. What's he carrying? 10-2. Callum takes 7 off. He's got nothing on his back. He just needs to be put in this race. If he's put in this race, I think he will take all of the beating here. It's a race that he should be winning if he's going to progress into a nice horse. Still into a nice horse. He is only 6. They've been very careful with him. Very quiet. Now's the time to kick on. He'll be turning 7 very soon. So yeah, Some Scope is... I really like him here at Weatherby. I will be watching Mr. Incredible. I do hope he gets round. I hope Sandy Thompson can get him to... or Ryan Mania can get him to jump off, jump round. I will be backing him in future races over further. If Sandy has demonstrated that he has learnt how to... or has been able to get the horse to run forwards. Moving on to the 245 at Weatherby, a lower class race than what I normally target in these videos, but I am a big fan here of American Sniper. I think the horse is overpriced as well, on the basis that you can currently get 5-2 against some largely out of form horses. Just look at their form figures. For example, Liffey Dale Dreamer pulled up last time out. Air Street 2-0, 3-4-4, 3 pulled up. Grozny, who's the second favourite, 6-6-5 pulled up. That looks really... it's moderate form, isn't it? Unless something completely bounces back and surprises. I think American Sniper has this to lose, in my opinion. Won a race 2 runs ago when beating Emerton at Newbery in a Pertemps qualifier. Monmorau in 3rd, Henry's Friend in 4th. That was probably a good race, and it was definitely better than what he's taking on here. Okay, he's got a lot more weight than what he carried there. Jack Tudor rode him that day. He ran off a mark of 120, only carried 10 stone 4. Callum's taking 7 off, which actually means, officially, on his official mark, American Sniper is running off a lower mark than what he did when beating better horses in Emerton, Monmorau and Henry's Friend. They booked Callum because he was, the horse was in here due to carry 12 stone. Taking 7 off means you're only carrying 11.7. Now, normally 11.7 trainers wouldn't worry about it. They're like, yeah, I'm really happy with that. We've not got a ridiculous amount of weight on our back. He won that race, as I said, and then he went to Cheltenham in the conditional jockey's handicap over 2 mile 5. Now, the form of that race, or the form going into that race, looked really strong. Double Powerful was coming into it at that time on a 5-timer. The 3rd place horse, Plaisir de Flow, was coming into it on a, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. He was looking for a 6-timer, Plaisir de Flow. The runner-up, the Tony Martin trained Young Lucy, looked like it could be well handicapped, and could have been kind of plotted for the race. The 5th, Il Veil de Soit, is one I'm still looking out for next time out. I thought ran a really good race considering the form was really strong. And I just think Mr. Harney went too quick on American Sniper. Only went off 17-2 that day for what was clearly a better race than this. More horses were in form. Mr. Harney might have thought he'd nicked it. He didn't. Because of that, they're dropping him slightly in class. And to be fair to American Sniper, he's still only a 6-year-old. I thought he was going to be like 8, 9. He's had 19 runs or 21 runs in his career. He's only 6. Yeah, I think he'll be too good for these here. I think Callum will give him a better ride than Mr. Harney did. And he can whilst going forward. He doesn't need to go too fast in front, and the others behind I just don't think are going to be good enough. So yeah, American Sniper I really like here at Weatherby in the 245. Sticking at Weatherby, 320. Another one that I like here, I think he's just going to be too good for these, is our top-rated horse, Double Oban. Now, Double Oban is only having his 4th run over hurdles, having come from the flat. And his flat form was pretty good, to be fair. He had achieved a high of 75, or 77, sorry, on the flat. When he switched to hurdles, he was only rated 72. But normally you can give them a significantly higher rating over hurdles. Off 72, I'd be looking at around the 100 mark. He's running off 99. That's about right then. Lewis Stones takes £3 off, which I think is very useful. Lewis is a decent jockey. And the horse is only 4. I think there's plenty more to come from Double Oban as a 4-year-old. And last time out, when beating Dreaming Diamond, I thought he did. I thought he won it quite cosily, to be honest, against the older horses. As I said, he's only 4. His biggest rival is probably another 4-year-old who I don't think is as good as him, and that's Lahir. What was Lahir rated on the flat? I'm sure he come from the flat as well. Let's just have a look. No, he didn't come from the flat. He's gone straight into hurdles. But yeah, I just don't think Lahir is as good or as unexposed as Double Oban. Double Oban will definitely get further in time. He looks nicely handicapped. He proved that last time out. I mean, his 3rd at Worcester behind See You in My Dreams and Kintaro. I thought that was a much better race than what he's running in here. And he didn't run bad for when he finished 3rd. I kind of feel that Double Oban, they can rack up a few with this 4-year-old. And I would expect to see him rated 110, 120 in a few runs' time, to be honest. You can see his R figures do demonstrate that he should be able to overcome this current 99 mark. Let's just load up his price. He is currently, or Kelly's Dream has just been made a non-runner, which is a shame, but he is currently available at 15 to 8, and I think that's a fair price for Double Oban. Final selection for us is at Newbery. No, it's not, it's at Aintree in the 140, and it's a horse we have had before. I am backing this horse again. It's Patriotic. Now, interestingly, Active Authority is the favourite here, off the back of 2 wins at Sandown and Weatherby. Sandown and Weatherby. The time before that, he finished 9th in the Silver Trophy, in a race featuring Doyen Quest, who's won since, Take No Chances, who's ran well twice since, and has actually won at Weatherby. Lowry's Bar, who's won since. Active Authority, who I've mentioned, has won. I think even American Sniper, who was way back in 16th, has won. Irish Hill, who pulled up, has won. It was a good race. And Active Authority finished 9th that day, went on to win 2 consecutive races since then at Sandown and Weatherby. When he finished 9th in that race, Patriotic was 5th, who's reopposing. So Patriotic beat Active Authority when getting £7. Tomorrow, Patriotic, or Boxing Day, sorry, Patriotic is going to be in receipt of £14. So he's £7 better off, despite beating him the last time they ran against each other just 2 runs ago for Patriotic. Patriotic then stepped up to 3 Mile after it looked like he was outpaced at Chepstow. Stepped up to 3 Mile, hadn't been asked for any effort when unseating at the 8th. Only went off 7 to 1 that day for a Betfair Stayers handicap hurdle. A better race than what he's running in here. Only went off 7 to 1 that day. At Aintree, it's currently available at, what race is it? It's the 140. You can currently get 6s about Patriotic. Bearing in mind we've got the angle with the favourite, we think we can beat that because we finished in front of it, getting £7, and on Boxing Day gets 14. I think Patriotic's very unexposed. I think the horse is still improving. I think Ground won't be an issue. Isabel just needs to keep in touch. If Isabel can keep in touch, I think this one will go really close here. In an easier race than when it was fifth, and you can just ignore the unseat because it unseated. Yeah, I'm quite confident of a big run here from Patriotic. As I said, Isabel just needs to make sure she keeps Patriotic involved at the back of the field, and can, use his stamina that he does have. This is only 2 mile 4. If it was over 3, I'd be even more confident. The 2.5 is the only negative I have about Patriotic, really. And yeah, I mean, we can even say that from that race, when finishing 5th in a very good silver trophy, the horse is £1 lower. That would give it a chance anyway. And considering the favourite was beaten and is worse off at the weight, so I don't get it. So I'm really hopeful for a big run from Patriotic. So they are our selections. I have left quite a few of the races alone. Obviously, there's loads of races tomorrow, as I've mentioned. Christmas Hurdle, I think Constitution Hill does win. I think he'll demonstrate that he is still very, very good. King George, I think Banbridge would appreciate the ground more than Spillane's Tower. It's a weak King George, though, isn't it? I'm hoping Corbett's Cross is taken out, and I actually still want Corbett's Cross aimed at that Grand National. At Leopardstown, the Whiskey Juvenile Hurdle, Willie DeHoo, I still think will win that, and is probably a decent price at about 6-4. I think Better Days Ahead wins the Racing Post Long Distance Novice Chase, beating Croke Park and Stellar Story. Gordon Elliott's finding out his order there, isn't he, with those 3 at the head of the market. I think Manila 6-0 wins the Grade 2 at Limerick. Gordon has thought about running it in Temps qualifiers, but keeps taking it out. The effort behind Potter's Charm now looks very good. I also really like Auto Portrait. Keep an eye out for Auto Portrait at Limerick in the 12.58. And finally, the Temps qualifier at Wincanton. I'll be watching that closely to see if there is a horse for the final. The horse I'm probably most interested in is Ike Sport. It's interesting that he finished 5th in a qualifier last time and is running again in a qualifier, probably trying to get him in the top 4. Doesn't need to be winning a race to get in the final. Also, Stay Away Faye is being aimed at the Grand National. Again, you can imagine that they won't do a lot with Stay Away Faye or Gelino Bello, who is probably going to be aimed at something like that as well. So yeah, they are my selections for tomorrow. Let's just quickly go over them again. In the 12.45 First Street, if he jumps better and shows his hurdles form over fences, I think he takes all of the beating, even at a very big price for him. The 120, the Jukebox Man, I think is the future Grade 1 horse. This is a Grade 1, but it's a novice Grade 1. I think he will end up in Grade 1 company next year, whereas some of the others may end up in handicaps. East India Express is here to win. Doddy the Great is here to get his mark lowered for the Betfair Hurdle. Some Scope, now they've got to be trying to win races, given a far too gentle ride last time out at Doncaster. Or was it Doncaster? At Newcastle. If he's kept involved, I think he will take all of the beating. And is this one with Callum on? Yeah, Callum takes a very useful 7 off. Again, Callum, I think, will take all of the beating on American Sniper. Ran in a very hot conditional jockeys race at Cheltenham last time. This is much easier. Double O Ban, I think, will kick on from here. On his flat form, he should win this. And Lewis takes a very useful £3 off. And finally, at Aintree, Patriotic actually has the beating of Active Authority already. If he confirms those placings, that could well be good enough to win the race.